Okay, thanks for your patience here. Been going a lot of different directions. I know everybody has, especially before break. You have the agenda in front of you,
Yes.
and I sent that out, I don't know what time it was, about 8 o'clock last
Yep,
night.
and I passed
apologize,
it on as soon
okay.
as I got it.
And is there any additions or deletions?
I don't think there's any additions, or we'll just go through and talk item by item and.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
I think we're good.
I would like to, we had discussed a pool, and we kind of just said that's way too much. A couple people in my building had requested, what about borrowing from our future year? Do you
Do
understand?
you want to add pool down here under
Not
item?
like pool, but I want to know, like, if I ran out of days, or my wife ran out of days, she's in good standing, she's taught with the district for 14 years. Could she take some of her days from next year, knowing that we get paid in June and July? And then if she did leave, we could just dock it in a July paycheck. That's just one example.
I'll just put F under PTO, F pool, I guess I'm kind of catch-all. That's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine. No, that's fine.
I do want to follow number one,
No, it's good.
spokesperson, can defer. And is that you again, Alyssa?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and that's me on this side. I will definitely have to defer probably on some of these items, though. I do have my notes from the last meeting, I believe. Thought I did.
Amy took them.
Well, she did take the notes, yes, but, the, item A, the last proposal that we left, if you recall, was that you counted with 10 days.
We said we weren't comfortable considering anything less than 10.
I will relinquish the 10 to the 10. I fully didn't understand. I was thinking strictly, okay, 9 month. And when you go and count the months, it is actually, I understand, August, through May, basically. And that falls within, it's a understandable guideline to me anyway. I think in talking to Wes and Amy, that was the same. Is that still doable?
We polled, staff, teachers. They really are not comfortable at this time relinquishing down to 10, but, our counter would be 12 days, but we can only roll over the maximum of 10 to the new bank.
That was basically, if I remember right, briefly what you talked to me about on the board
Yes.
meeting night.
Yes, actually Todd brought that up.
Here's our concern with that. That's 2 days, use them or lose them, right?
They
In
can't be
theory?
rolled over because I think your concern with the max was how many would be rolled over in the pool and the payout would be quicker if we rolled over more. And so with a maximum of 10, that covers that end.
And that's 2 more additional days that'll probably be definitely used.
It could be. What was sorry, we asked for, the average that staff takes. I believe many staff.
We have some numbers we can show you here, and maybe that is a good time to just show the average.
Now, what I pulled was not average of what,
I'll defer to Amy here.
oh, sorry. I did not pull what the average takes. I thought you wanted the average of what the other districts were.
No, we wanted the average of our employees, what the average of our teachers take.
Each year.
Yes.
Okay. I can step out and get that
Okay.
information sent over.
Can I
to
take
you.
your information on
Take
the
that.
average?
Mhm.
She did put together, we can hand this around.
Yeah, we have in the summary book.
Yeah, I'm sure you got it too from,
Yep.
and we didn't go through everybody, but just took a sampling.
Of what was around us or just in general.
Well, similar sized school districts, North Kansas City area. It ranges from, obviously ours is listed there at the top, 13, 14, 15, 16, based off 9, 10, 11, 12 month employees. Lease Summit has 8 to 10 for 9 months. Smithville has 12 for 9 months. Center has 10, Independence 10. I mean, you can go down through here. North Kansas City 11, Raytown 10, She got Smithfield listed there, 12, that's on 10-month too.
10 month and, yeah, it goes down by month.
So, have you seen this already, basically?
We have a similar document that's provided us in
Okay.
our MSTA salary book, and it
Okay.
has those things.
You can see the cap number of days, to where the 225, I don't know why I've always used the 220 number, and whatever reason, it's 225.
Yeah.
Is well over, okay? The personal, it varies down through there, and the reimbursement rates vary down through it as well. I don't know if they're, I'm sure that they have their own rhyme or reason, but if you look down through here, there's definitely a payback, on the unused days.
Yes. And we've seen that, the payback especially does vary. There's not much consistency at all within those.
I guess, we've discussed a little bit from, just my brief Monday night discussion, trying to see what we would do with a 10 and 2 type format. If we would do that, I definitely then would probably like to add a blackout period.
And what would a blackout period in your mind look like? Like nobody could take that day or up to?
Well, I think
Because
you'd have-
people get sick.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have some type of emergency clause in that.
Like a
Melissa.
max amount or?
Well, emergency clause, I mean, somebody's gonna get sick, obviously.
Yes.
So if that happens, it'd just be with supervisor approval, basically like it is now. But I definitely think you look at the start of the year, end of the year, PD days,
Math testing.
day before and after holiday, potentially even, those types of
Cause
things.
for that, but
But there would never be a day that nobody, if you took it off, like nobody would take it off. If you take it off, you would be docked, period.
Correct.
We would have a max. And would that just be the number of subs in the district?
When you'd have a max.
Like you would have a cutoff,
if
or
you-
what are you saying?
If you had a blackout, it'd be nobody could use the days unless it was under the emergency clause.
Like you were sick and had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, if
Or
you're
your
sick,
child
you're
was
sick.
sick and had to go to the
Right,
doctor.
right.
Not that you want to start your spring break early.
It would have to be definitely pre-approved and screened, basically like it is now.
Okay, that's something we can. Can we table that for a second, and as we go down, maybe we're gonna take
Okay.
a break as we go through once we've. Oh, I would like to defer to Melissa.
I just wanted to bring up the whole reason we even wanted to change things to PTO was because we wanted to boost morale. We thought it was an easy way to boost morale. Now you don't have to, fib if you want to take another personal day. We wanted to do something good. I believe if we are still going to be tracked, we're still going to say if we're sick or whatever, then why are we, let's just go back to, let's just keep things the way they were. There's no reason to change it then. We're not winning anything. We're not making anyone happier by taking the
Well,
days away.
I think the biggest difference, Melissa, is, say you're using the 10 days, that, it could be for 10 personal days, it could be for 7 sick, 3 personal, it could be for, any combination and mix. So nobody is forced, you guys know, I've been a teacher, my goodness, call in sick, but yeah, I'm shopping down in, North Kansas City, because it's, right there before Thanksgiving or Christmas or what. There's various reasons, and what we want to make sure doesn't happen is that you're not, there's freedom there to have latitude to do what you need to do. Whether it's getting taxes done, or if you got to take your mother to the hospital or doctor. There's all kinds of variants that many times when people call in, that it might not be, I don't want to say they're lying or fibbing, but it might not be, they're stretching the reason they're going to be gone. And that's what you're trying to take away of, and you're trying to give the latitude to have some freedom there. The tracking purposes in the 10 really is for FMLA purposes. After checking this a little bit further, we have to do that. Okay, now, again, the biggest thing is, we're not gonna come back and question you on it. Okay, the only time if we question, just to catch Amy up to speed here real quick, they brought out the 10 and 2, use or unuse the 2, okay?
The max we can roll over is
And-
10.
And then I brought up with if that was the case, then I would definitely probably look at a blackout period option, okay? So, and then Melissa had questions on, that's where you came in, where we're at now.
And I would like to,
That's a quick synopsis.
I also would like to defer to Ryan about the FMLA. We had a discussion about this earlier.
We had a discussion at our personal meeting, and I called around to some, I mean, in Mosaic's one, I have some people that work at the business office, and talked about their PTO. And initially, being professionals, it's up to the person to apply for FMLA. I mean, they don't report if they're sick or if they're gone. If they're gone, they're gone. They don't have to report why. Could be they want to sleep in. Could be they want to go to a Royals game, afternoon game, or the trophies coming through town. Whatever reason, but or they're sick and need to go to the doctor. And then if they need to do FMLA, it's on them to fill out the paperwork. And it has nothing to do, the two are, the PTO and that are separated days, and
Let me
nobody,
defer to Amy on this one.
nobody polices it.
So for those 1-day absences, that's not going to kick in FMLA. So the only thing we would be looking for is if we see that someone has a 5-day absence or more, then they are eligible at that point for family medical leave. And under family medical leave, then we have an obligation to reach out if we're aware, and that doesn't mean if HR is aware, that means if the principal or anyone else is aware that they may be under a qualified FMLA leave. And then we send out the paperwork just to notify them they have these protections, they have these rights if it's going to continue.
And working in the field we do as professionals and having the people at our building with our principal and our secretary, I mean, they'll know that. They'll know whatever reason, if we're going to be gone for 5 days, they'll know that, we talk to them, we see them. They'll be able to suggest it at that level. It's not something that is, like when we see 5 days gone, we automatically send that out. I mean, they're professional enough to apply for that if they need it. And, it's not something that needs to be tracked to be able to use that.
I think
No, it doesn't have to be tracked. We're just saying that's kind of another way that we can help out the employee. This isn't like a penalty that we're trying to throw out to an employee.
That's what it's being perceived as, though. And I understand that when people watch these and
Protecting their
stuff,
job and their rights under the law is all we're trying to do.
and what they're going to see is that that's them just policing our days. They want to know how many we're taking as personal, how many we're taking as sick. I mean that's the way it's perceived throughout the district, through the MSTA. I mean, people are getting fired up about that at the building where
But we're doing it now.
I understand.
That's not a change.
I know, and going to PTO was supposed to be a change, which it's ended up.
You're saying it's supposed to be a change. It is a change, but whether we were tracking or not, whether or not they still had to put in why they were taking off, it was whether they could take it off or not under those 10 days. They can take off for whatever they want.
And what Dr.
We're trying to
Newhart,
track
if I
and make
could
sure that we
push back to what Dr.
understand.
Newhart said, if we stay at our current rate at 12 days, like he said, people are caught, they take it to go get an extra day of Christmas shopping, to get their car taken care of, to get their, at the current rate, people initially are already doing that. But then they live in fear the whole day when they're doing
Right.
it.
Well, yes, because
And so-
there would be discussions or ramifications if caught
Yeah,
doing
I'll-
that under the current policy.
I'll send it to Alyssa.
like you said, and I don't think he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he
I did, I said I'll send it back to Alyssa. So
Yeah, no,
if I
you're
need to
good.
use the word, I will defer back to Alyssa.
I think Dr. Newhart just said that, argued it, that really it will be tracked at our buildings anyway, whether we put it in the computer or not. I mean, our secretary and our principals are gonna know if we're out and we're having a family crisis or we are sick. And so I still think that process is gonna be there. But there was just some uncomfortable from not all just our members, just teachers in general, about it still being tracked at the HR level. So, I mean, the principals and the secretaries and the people who sign off on our days when the paper goes around, they're gonna know if we're out for that, and we're gonna take care of each other. And most of the employees professionally, we know about FMLA, and we know if there's a big sickness that we do need to ask for that. So that is where we're coming from, and it's not just the people at the table, it's our members and other teachers in the district.
So there's an opposition to
Checking
if
at
it's
the age-
personal or if it's sick.
Yes, not that,
Those were the only two options out there. There's opposition for people having to tell us that.
yes. They want PTO to be PTO, not tracked at the district level. I think principals and the secretaries, or whoever it is at the buildings, the supervisors will know if that's something that needs to be tracked. And I'd like to,
I'll defer back to Dr. Newhart.
If you just put two categories down, personal or sick, for tracking purposes, what should the individual be afraid of?
I'd like to defer to Melissa.
I think what people are upset about is that we're trying to do something positive, go to PTO, but then we're getting cut. And so if we're still having to put in, if personal or sick, it's the same as we're doing now, but we're losing days. And so we're not winning anything. The whole point was to win, that we weren't going to have to put in.
You're talking about, we can't roll over all of
Yeah.
them.
Well, Melissa, the win is not having to worry about, I only got 3 personal, okay, or only got 9 sick. The win is you got 10, you know, when you say personal, that is pretty all encompassing, okay? And, I don't understand, I guess, where, if it's PTO, if you're not gonna be penalized, all you're doing this is for tracking purposes, really even just for, our own in districts, stats, so to speak. Nobody's gonna ask, if somebody puts down as a personal day, whether that's to go to a Royals game, or whether that's to go shopping, or whether that, whatever, that is the latitude. You could do 10 you could do 10 of them. I guess I really struggle with that mentality,
I think,
and it's not,
I'll defer back to you.
I think if we can get that guarantee in writing, that it is solely for that it will not be used to police, I believe that would be a compromise. Because that is the fear we've been hearing, that they'll feel like they just don't want to be policed over it. And so if we can get that in writing, with the 10 and the 2, solely sick or personal, it doesn't matter what the combination is.
I'm good with the 10 and the 2 if you go to a blackout period, and I'm willing to do it in the writing.
Can we, when we take a break, can we talk about that? Can we just
You want-
table that for just a second
Okay.
and move, that way we take one break
Okay.
and not 50?
Because really, I think some of these others, until we get to the accumulated days.
Right.
maybe, the bereavement is, I think we're all
We're
good.
good. And the FMLA, maternity, adoption, foster, all that falls under, if you have the days, you can use them.
That
If
is
you don't,
correct. I
you're
did-
docked, short-term disability, all that.
I checked with Amy on
We're
that,
good.
and that is correct.
And we need that in writing, with maternity, adoption, and foster.
I'll defer to Amy.
Sorry. What we will do, because under FMLA, we'll refer a lot in our policy to FMLA regulations. And all
Okay.
the FMLA regulations state foster care and the placement of foster, adoption, birth of a child, all of the regulations, because we want to follow that standard. And then the standard doesn't have anything with regard to pay other than you can require pay or you
Okay.
cannot. So a lot of it will refer to the regulations with regard to that, but we can put that all in writing.
Can we revisit PTO for just a second? Actually, I'm gonna defer to Tina about part-time employees.
The reason we
We are asking, they don't have that paper in front of them.
Okay, we are asking for PTO days for our part-time employees who currently have nothing. They have no benefits, they have no sick leave currently. And a second-year part-time teacher takes one day off. They dock her $180 from her paycheck, so her check is now $800 and some odd dollars for a whole month. It will take her 4 to 5 days of working in a row to make that money back, just to break even. And it's not right for, in my opinion, and I hope
In our
everybody would
opinion,
agree with
in our
me,
opinion.
for a teacher in my building working part-time who has missed 1 day in 2 years to be docked $180. To assume that they're not going to get sick and need a day off, I think is
I'll
ludicrous,
defer
and I
to
don't think
Amy.
it's right.
Well, I mean, right now, I know that is the case, that we don't have anything. I mean, potentially, we could look at
I mean,
we haven't talked about it, so.
Even
You don't
six,
think her son
five,
would
or
need
six.
$80.
Well, yeah, based on the amount of hours worked or something
They
like
just
that, it
need
would
some
need.
days.
I mean, you need
Prorated,
something.
that's the word I was looking for, thank you. Prorated based on their schedule, so we could figure
Yeah.
out something like that. If we could talk about that during a break and.
And also the 2-day rollover back to PTO. Sorry, Tina, are you good with that?
I mean, what are we,
They're gonna
Talking
talk
about
about
it,
it when
okay.
we go to break.
okay. Then I will.
And then the 12-month, because you were looking at docking the 12-month employees as well for PTO. We would also ask that they do 14 days with a max bank of 12. And then the same idea as ours.
Let me refer back to you.
I'm trying to be.
I know,
No, you're
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Because I don't want to get a free-for-all going here.
No, you're good.
I would agree with that, if that is the case, to be consistent, trying to help out, that would definitely have to be the case.
And so I think we're good to move on from
Okay,
PTO now.
except for the blackout period.
Yes,
we
and
want-
we're gonna
okay.
discuss during break.
Okay, the accumulated total,
Our counter is 120 days. And that falls within the ranges you've given us from other districts. It's not, we're at 225 right now, and that is above, I think, of any district I've seen. And I think that's reasonable coming from, that's over 100 days taken out of that pool. I mean, 110 would be closer to half if you wanted to half that pool.
I understand what you're saying, and I can live with something of this. I want to, during break, because really until we get to the payback,
Right.
okay?
We
and
can
I
skip
need
to that.
I need to have some conversation with Wes on dollars then. I don't think it'd be large difference when you're just talking 10 or 20 days,
Mm-hmm.
but I think once you see what I would like to do in regards to the payback, I think you'll understand maybe that it might be quicker to keep it lower.
Okay. That sounds,
So unless it was 110, if you want to stop here for just a second.
if we need to take a break right now, we
Let's
sure
do
can.
so, because there's some things on there, you got to work on the blackout discussion, we need to talk a little bit here on the accumulated total discussion.
Okay. You step back in this one. We'll go this way.
What did you decide on the blackout?
We would be willing to, how many blackout days are you thinking a year? What's your,
We were looking at 5 student days at the start, 5 student days at the end, before and after holidays and PD days.
so 5 holidays? Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, Easter? Or is Easter considered a holiday? Because it's not a paid holiday for,
It would be basically your federal type holidays.
So the Mondays, like
Correct.
Martin Luther King.
Well, it'd be like the Friday before or Tuesday after a holiday.
So like Labor Day, you couldn't take Tuesday off. Does that make sense?
yeah.
The day before Thanksgiving, you couldn't take
Can't take that Tuesday off.
Couldn't make it a whole week vacation rather than
Yeah.
just, does that make sense? Oh, I'm sorry.
You could take vacation for vacation days.
We don't have,
I know.
So-
But if 12-month employees that haven't qualified for
so
that,
12-month employees would be able to take that week, but we wouldn't, and we have PTO?
well, that's a little bit different because you don't have vacation days.
Right.
The other piece is, we're willing to go to the 120, okay?
Who would, before we go to the 120, who would determine emergency absences?
Just like you do now, you're building supervisor.
What you're building.
It would be determined at building level.
You know, it does come down,
Well, yeah,
You know,
but they would
where-
determine if it was,
if there's an issue, obviously there's gotta be,
Thing is that, sorry.
go ahead. You're good.
That morning, I call, daughter's sick, have to take her to the doctor. I want to be able to take that day, but then in a week, say, no, somebody downtown said, never mind, and you know what I mean?
if your building principal signs off on it
Yes.
as an emergency, situation,
Then it's fine.
I would be, it's in rare cases though, you understand that
Yeah,
sometimes it comes
it doesn't
back
happen every, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to where that is overridden anyway. I think I've only overridden one, even coming up from the HR to me all year,
okay.
okay? So, but we're willing to go to the 120 at a 1 to 5 year rate payout, which really, I guess how we're looking at it, it's a payout higher on the backside for us,
For retirees, yeah.
okay?
There's a lot of levels in this.
Well, it's trying to, what it amounts to is that you're gonna get paid out sooner, when you reach 120 at a rate, if you don't use days over that rate. Or over that accumulated total. So in other words, 225, you bank to 105, go to 120. Okay, again, using 10 right now, you're given 10, that goes to 130, so you don't use your 10.
You
Okay?
get paid out.
You get paid out,
And it's gonna be the upper level that have that. Mike, you wanna keep people in the classroom, right?
you want to keep people in classroom
$10 a day is not gonna keep,
for a 1 to 5 year person.
because when they leave, if they go to somewhere else, they can cash out the days they haven't used,
We
correct?
discussed that back here, and we want to encourage the people that stay.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided not, if you leave the district, we're only going to pay out.
You don't wanna
for
pay
that
out a higher amount
We're
for-
not going to pay out a cumulative total, we'll pay out only that total for that given year.
For loyalty.
Okay, so if they retire at the district, we will pay that out at that rate.
I will defer to Melissa.
I just have a question. So for a 1 to 5 year person, they're not going to have 120 days
It's
already.
if they leave the district.
So they
Standing.
get that if they lose the district also. If they leave the district in good standing, then?
They get their number of days not used in the current year.
Oh, okay, so not banked.
Not
So-
bank
Okay,
days,
thanks for that clarification.
days during the current year. So if I'm a 5-year employee, okay?
You have
that-
50 days,
I
but
have
you'll only
50
get
days.
10 paid out that year at the total of $50.
And I leave the district.
Yeah, you're not retiring, you leave the
I
district. in
leave the
good standing.
district, I'm gonna get a $500 check if days not used in that given year. Down to the,
Get a $50 check. Five, no, 10, never mind, sorry.
Yeah, if you're
Excuse
the
me.
next one. it'd be
Yeah.
$20.
Yep.
well, basically, 1 to 5 years, 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I don't know, I looked at it so many different ways, Alyssa, I looked at Liberty's, it was like $25 above,
Right, I
below.
feel like this just has a lot of steps in it in comparison to some of the ones I've seen.
It's a higher payout, though.
It is a higher payout. I do feel that people who've been around the district maybe 16, 20 years or 20 and above should at least get sub pay for those days they're over. If they retire or, I
The only
mean,
way you,
well, I
I'm
guess
not
they
saying you
can't
couldn't,
retire, but,
unless you had other years in another district.
right.
Um,
There's just a lot of steps on this. Not that it's terrible, not that
Well,
I,
you're trying to reward somebody at each,
right.
Level.
right.
Is this something, can we, agree to a, I'm gonna talk to you for a minute. Could we agree to, working on a rate scale? And maybe not settle on this one right now? Does this have to be settled on right now? Or is this something we can discuss
We're
more?
really wanting to get this done.
But the rate scale needs to be done right now for next year? I just,
See, there they get $20.
cause that's not
It's a
really
better, it's a
gonna.
better rate scale than what you currently got, Alyssa.
Well, absolutely. Oh, I know. We would really like to work on this more, the rate scale. We want a rate scale.
It's a,
and
it's
you
a-
want a rate
it's
scale?
payout more than what you currently got. It's $20 a day for 225 days. And I'm just giving, that's for people when they, yeah, if somebody accumulates 225 days, retires, correct? You're being paid out $20 a day.
Right.
We just
Whereas
gave
now-
somebody at 120 days a $12,000 check
check.
potentially.
Right, and they're only gonna pay out, they'll only pay out what they didn't use that year on these, which
And
is.
that's only if
Yeah,
too
no,
here.
no, I know,
Retirement will
Yes.
get all the days.
right.
I'm not looking, that's only if you keep the 10 days and don't do the 2.
That's only if we do the 10 days
We
and not the 2?
we really don't want to do the 2.
The 2 though don't affect this pool, and
It's
what
2
was the
additional days
average?
of cost to us, to the district. We're willing to pay you out at the end.
There was very few employees that either one of us represent that were
Okay, we'll
not,
take this off the table then, leave it at 10 and be done.
Can I ask a question?
defer to Tina.
Can I ask why, at our first meeting, you said out of your mouth that you were okay with 5 days bereavement, immediate family, you were okay with 12 days, and you were okay with,
I never said I was okay with 12 days. I'm okay with 3.
yes, you did.
I
We
never said
left that
okay with
meeting
12.
feeling that was settled, and then you came back with 9 the next meeting.
That was
You did.
basically, if you recall, the discussion that was so rampantly going on that day. That's why we went back to the one spokesperson.
No, because that's when Eric Bruder said,
Who's
I
your
believe.
spokesperson right now?
It's me,
I
I
deferred
haven't
to her.
deferred back to
Okay,
her.
thank you.
Eric Bruder said there and said, let's give these nice people the 12 days they're asking for and the 5 days bereavement, and I think the board will approve it. Lori then said, I agree with that. And you said, I tell you what, if you'll agree to the the PTO, we agree on that. If you agree
Well,
with
we
5
haven't come
days
to
and
a full
leaving
day
it,
agreement with the PTO.
and you said with the
What,
5 days
what have you
bereavement,
guys given up yet?
What
$250
haven't we given up? I'll defer to you.
What haven't you given up?
$250 in our classroom that's gonna come out of our check. I'm gonna have, a lot of us here at this table are instructional leaders in our classroom, that we're now gonna have to perform PD with no extra pay. We're gonna have to mentor new teachers. We've given up quite a bit. This
On an
is an
individual-
easy win for both of us.
On an individual basis, what have you not, I mean, that has never been a discussion in regards to this meet and confer in regards to these
That
budget
wasn't a
reductions.
discussion with anybody, though.
Well, you just brought it up.
Yeah, because it's already been decided without discussing with anybody.
I don't know if that has ever been a meet and confer discussion.
You ask what we've given up. As teachers, that's what we've given up, and they're tired of giving up.
As far as this
Thanks.
meet and confer discussion's been, Alyssa, what have you given up yet?
Why do we need to give up any more?
And during this meet and confer discussion, in any give and take, okay, I'm trying to work with you, I really am.
We represent a group. We've given up where you want to roll over days. We've come down to your level on what you want to roll over. We've moved down from 225 to 110 or 120.
You just want to keep it the way it is?
People are not comfortable with 10 days.
No, or you just want to keep the 225 and paying it just exactly the same way it is?
I just don't understand why we have to keep giving things up. When morale stinks, people are writing us not to give things up. What benefit?
Do you want
what-
to, I've said, do you want to keep it the same? Don't give anything up. Do you want to just keep it the same?
I need. I'll defer to Tina.
Do you have a spokesperson here to replace Alyssa?
Sure, I'll be the spokesperson.
Okay.
Okay, so what I don't understand is we came with this idea so that
The
we
10 and
could-
2.
Well, we came originally just to make our days PTO so that we could give a win to the
I
staff.
think we're good there.
And so, but then you want to take something away. There's no reason to take. I mean, it's not going to change how much money we're saving the district or anything. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything.
The whole question is the incentive and the payback and all those things. It's just using 200 days as an easy number, $20 payback, it's $4,000. We're willing to give you $12,000 payback, $8,000 more for people that are in the classroom. Rewarding those people that have not used their sick days, that have been great employees. We're willing to do that. And yet I feel like you're balking at that.
We're balking at things getting taken away.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand, what's been taken away. You're getting the payback at the current rate of any unused days down to 120. I agreed to 120, but that individual is still banking those days of 105 days at the current rate of $20. They're still getting that. Nothing's been taken away. They're still getting that.
That's only for people who've been here a long time. No, we have a lot of new mothers, lot of new staff that don't have that many days banked.
That's, yeah, I don't disagree with, that's a risk all of us take when you move, transfer, take a new job. You're trying to build up that security in any type of profession you're in. I don't know how else to do it until you get 3 to 5 years underneath your belt and you get that, 30 days or whatever plus, or 2 weeks plus. yeah, you've got to be conscientious of that as a new employee. How else do you, that's where you're coming up with the 2 days more that helps? Am I reading that right?
Yes, go ahead.
I,
I'll defer
I
to
have a
Melissa.
question, and it's a question that I've heard from a lot of people, is why do we have to give anything up? I mean, why can't the district say, we value you? Why does it have to be, well, what are you giving up? Why do we have to give anything up?
We're valuing you with a better plan here, in all honesty, of a payback than what you currently got. And you're wanting to keep it at the 12, I get it. Will you do the blackout?
I'll
I
send
think-
it back to you, sorry.
I'll send it to Ryan.
I believe at the 12, where we lose 2, if you don't use them, we were okay with the blackout days, if we had a set number, that it wasn't gonna grow, you know what I mean?
Right.
And kind of what you said is that the calendar committee would, and what we talked about, is calendar committee would set those up, and it sounds like what we talked about back there was the same days you set up, right around holidays.
Okay.
First week of the year, last week of the year, with the exception of building level approval for emergencies. You know what I mean, like the emergency clause that if our kid was sick, if we were sick, had to go to the doctor. But that was if we were at the 12 and 10, correct? Losing the 2 if we didn't use them. And I'm sure the averages of the number of people in the district that don't take the 2 is 1 or 2, 3 people in the district that don't take, those 2 days. That's not gonna.
Let me confer real quick here.
Did we ever have the days did she ever get the average of days that that SJSD takes?
No, she did not.
We lose days every year. Now we're paying calendar days every single year, so it's a cost to the district.
I'm gonna defer to Wes real quick.
When we was developing this payout plan, right now, when you accumulate your days, once you cap, you get no more days. So everybody knows that, right?
Yeah, once you get to the.
Now you will with the new plan, and plus now you get paid out every year rather than losing those days. So you have an option, so it's an additional cost to the district. It's costing the district a lot of money to go to this plan. That is the benefit that we're providing to you guys. And that's why, when Robert's asking, what are you guys giving up? We feel like we're giving a lot, and that's why he's asking for those 2 days, if I'm getting it correctly.
I'm gonna defer back.
I'll defer back.
And believe me, I understand everything everybody's been through. It's not the way, I would like to see it. Come off the 120, go to 110, give you the 2 days with the blackout period in the 1 to 5 year schedule, the 5-year layout.
So we lose the 120 back and come to 110. We would get the 2 days. We go to this, what you guys have proposed.
The 2 days, use them or lose them.
Yeah, if at the end of the year you didn't take 2 sick days
10 plus 2 rule.
Correct.
you know what I mean? And my theory on those 2 days is you don't want teachers in the classroom that are actually sick. Do you know what I mean?
True.
Yeah,
true.
that's kind of where I stand on those 2 days, is that as an elementary teacher, if I come to school with strep throat, because I can muscle through it and make it through it, the next day I'm gonna have 8 kids gone, because I've been coughing all over the room. And giving that incentive to use those 2 days, I'd be willing to, I'm gonna lose it at the end of the year anyway, so I might as well just stay home today, and not very many are gonna make it past that 2 days.
But you realize you'd be losing 10 days, $1,000 on the backside.
I understand that, but the people that are every year, initially, if you come down to 110, if we come down to 110, that
You would get paid out
we're
every
moving
year.
up a year quicker in the 10 days if we
That's
save
true
it.
too.
And so that is a, I know at retirement, you're losing 1,000, but
You're picking that up quicker on the
Yeah.
front side, you're right.
yes, you're picking up a little bit quicker on the front side where we're getting paid after 110 bank
true.
instead of 120 bank. For people who stay and love this district and want to work here.
I think we need to talk to Alyssa. I think we need to talk again.
I guess the only thing, I'm agreeing to the 10 and 2, the everything, and if you're good with the blackout, I think we got it outside the salary schedule yet, we got it
Can-
done.
Can I take 1 second to talk to Alyssa?
Yeah.
Just present that to her and then come back? And just, she's our person, do you know? Todd, do you know if she's? She doesn't phone call.
Are you sure?
The camera is still rolling.
Okay.
Okay, so cap down to 110, agreeing to the proposed rate, 10 days plus 2 use it or lose it days. Am I forgetting anything
We want that in writing.
in writing?
When you set the blackout days, we want to set that on, because it directly affects teachers and their work environment, we want to set that with whatever negotiating committee that is. And we want that in writing.
And we will look into the proration of days. We don't have an answer yet on that part-time.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
That's,
I appreciate it.
because right now they have nothing.
yeah. That's just. Situation.
You ready to move to salary? Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. We
Go ahead.
want or request 1,200 to our base. We know that doesn't address the issues we have in the mid and upper level, but it will be a start. We want to correct that as soon as possible. 1,200 to the base. If we had time, we could go back and adjust where we really are deficit, but we don't have that time right now. Contracts are coming up. I know we're gonna have a new person in HR. We're willing to agree with that. We want to correct that and take steps to correct that in our plan we create. But 1,200 to the base. And we can get contracts out.
It takes it 36.2,
Yep,
so it's really like 12.05.
yeah, so if you're rounding it off pretty, you got 1,205 to the base.
Oh, it's 12:14.
Oh,
Sorry, it's 12:14.
Excuse me.
Wait a minute, 12:05 is not right.
So 1214?
Sorry. We don't want to rob them of those $9.
I mean, considering the comp study
So that
and,
is 36.2?
That's 36.2. That takes it to
36.2.
36.2, yes.
and we know we don't have time to correct it the way it needs to be corrected. I mean,
Got to step back here.
Sure.
You have a 5-minute break.
oh, you're good. You got 30 minutes.
It's fine.
You got 30 minutes.
Sure, they were all about you.
Well,
Cable's destroying it. 7340.
Can you use what?
7340.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm just the pressure. I did it multiple times today, so Just like, even with JP, perfect, I need an outlet. And she provided that, of course. I literally dropped to my knees and shouted this morning, like, it's just, I think it's like, I have her 37 years. This is just too bad. You know,
That's so
Take their $100 and go teach them for 3 years. Or Savannah, or Deacon.
Everybody back? We're
Yep.
live. We'll take the base to 36.2 and agree to that. And obviously, all this ultimately, we gotta get written up ASAP, to present, contracts for the, 28th of March.
quick question, what's our time frame on the ability to adjust the middle? When was that, where we're,
Adjust
the
indexing.
Masters Plus and,
That's gonna have to be in a year away plan.
do we have that schedule?
We
Is it
can,
still-
what I would suggest we need to do is continue this process to where, we work, I mean, this isn't gonna go away, obviously.
No,
And we work through that to fully understand what the salary schedule needs to be, because you're right, it's at the master's levels, that's gotta be
because this,
addressed.
it doesn't,
So
you know.
I would
it-
agree,
this
we work
wouldn't address
on, we
that.
work on that for the 17-18.
Can we make
school
that a
year.
goal,
Yes.
to get that
I fully
adjusted
think
for
we
the
need to.
17,
And we don't need to be waiting till the fall.
No.
We need to meet some more times here
Yes.
this spring.
Can that be in a written agreement that we work on that?
I'm
Get
actually
that
in
adjusted?
tomorrow and Monday,
Okay,
okay? I really don't know, you're in Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about tomorrow,
Wasn't tomorrow, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
okay? We will get that written up.
because
Are
that
you-
is
are
number
you-
one priority
Yes.
for that, and for,
Can we
support.
get there, are you
Yeah,
able
I'm,
to, if we
I'm
send
accessible.
you an email?
Yeah, I think most of us will be around.
We will have it to where it's on the board agenda for March 28th.
Oh, on, the, blackout days, that needs to be supervisor approval, correct?
Emergency.
Correct, on the emergency clause,
It needs to be supervisor approval,
right.
because that's who it comes down to.
Well, if there is any question, no different than it is now.
Right.
It would go on up the line.
Because
Okay.
that is the process.
That is the process.
But is
Supervisor approved it.
pending
Call that
supervisor
type
approval,
process.
right.
Correct,
That's what we need,
correct.
that's what that is gonna say, supervisor approval.
The in case of emergency?
Yeah.
Is at the supervisor.
Supervisor approval.
It's in there.
No, it's not.
There was one, support staff salary schedule.
Support staff will be coming, after March 28th. That's a whole different ballgame too right now. You're not representing support staff right now.
But we're asking to, for the
They
paras
also have
and
some
the,
other things going on with the State Board of Mediation. And we're working through those things, so let's just take this step by
Those are-
step right now. But yes, that is
Okay.
gonna be coming.
does anybody else have any more questions before we adjourn?
Yeah. Can you?
I defer to Ryan.
The question of the teachers that are at 225 right now. Okay, they have to bank 115 days,
Correct?
115 days. And if for something happens, they can pull into that, right? You know, like, you know what I mean, correct?
If they're sick,
If
they
were
can still
sick,
access
cancer,
those.
Something like that, they could get to those days, correct? But if they got
I
to
think
those days.
that's my whole belief and reason
What
for
is
the bank.
What is the compensation on those days?
Same rate of pay that is currently at under the current policy.
So
those-
$20.
$20. I think
Go ahead.
that's only, from
I-
a grandfather. I guess what's your basic question on that?
They'll still be
I'll
able
defer
to,
Alyssa.
they'll still be able to access those correctly?
Yeah, they'll be able to access
So,
them.
instead of tracking those at $20 a day, it might be easier, to just, if they get dropped below 110, the max they can be paid out is 110, correct? At the end of
Correct.
retirement. So then maybe we don't need to do the $20 a day if they're at 110 when they retire.
But there's, okay. well,
I
but if-
refer
if-
back to
if-
Ryan. I don't know if I'm
If
reading
a
that
teacher
right.
this year retires and they have 225 days, next year, they
Mm-hmm.
have 225 days. So for the first 110 days, they'll get $100 per day if they've been here for 26 years. And then
And
for
then
that
they
rest of
get
that
the 20
bank,
on
they
top?
get 20 on top of that.
Okay,
And, which is,
that would be fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fine.
great.
okay.
Yep, that's fine.
We just wanted to make sure, we just wanted to clarify. I didn't want to walk out of this meeting thinking they were going to lose those days, any compensation on those
No.
115 days when
Correct.
they've fought through illnesses and families.
So that 115 will be paid out at $20 a day, and then up to 110 will be paid out at this rate. Okay,
It could essentially be 120.
120.
Yeah, because you'll have 110 then plus the 10.
Right.
That's
Right,
So
that's true.
anyway, sorry, I know he wasn't deferred to me, but.
That
I
was
mentioned that a
the,
second ago, though, yeah, that if you didn't use those 10 days, you
Okay.
just got it.
and
You
we'll
good?
look for something from you.
I'd
In the
say
next
at the
few
latest
days.
by Wednesday of next week,
Okay,
with the board meeting on the 28th.
okay,
Good job.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
And this is all pending board approval, but we're in agreement, this is what we're taking,
Yes,
correct?
and when will
When it
you,
goes to board, it's gonna be
On Monday.
this or
Or-
yay or nay, correct?
Correct.
It's not good, I just didn't want to see option A, option B, option C, option D.
no.
It's
gonna be
okay,
this.
it's
This,
just
yay or nay.
this, yay or nay, and if,
and put in there that salary schedule will be corrected for next year.
As a
We will
goal.
work on getting
Yeah, I
it
think that's gotta be
corrected.
ongoing.
It needs to be fixed.
Right,
Enjoy your weekend,
You
enjoy
too.
your break,
you too.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, good job.